You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The views expressed by the individuals during this broadcast are their own opinions, and they may not be the same as those of their group or other organizations they may be involved with.
And welcome. I'm Green Irene, and this is the Fibro Fight Series. Thank you for tuning in. Let me just get over to the comments section first, and there we go. So this show is available on the Pace Radio Network, which goes out to Spreaker and Spotify, iHeartRadio. It goes out to Anchor FM, Green Irene's THC, and of course the Facebook page, Fibro Fight Series. And I'm on Pace Network and Pace Radio and Green Irene's and all that sort of stuff. So every show is a little bit different because, you know, quite frankly, I'm constantly evolving, and so are my skills constantly evolving and developing. That being said, your feedback is absolutely fantastic, and the likes and shares are greatly appreciated. So thank you. Thank you very, very kindly. The Fibro Fight series is genuinely and truly a passion for me. Helping the sick and tired people, or the chronically ill, those pain fighters, and, just the wellness warriors in general, to learn different methods or different techniques to help you live a life you love. It's very rewarding in its own right. When I see or hear about someone that I worked with, I guided or gave some advice to, when I see or hear about them lighting up and taking hold of the reins, literally, of their health and wellness, it's like when they realize just how much power and control they genuinely do have over their health and wellness, thereby translating into the quality of life that they live. I mean, hearing those victories over those battle victories of fibro fighters who are no longer just surviving, but are actually thriving. That's exciting for me. I'm empowered by that. So that being said, keep those questions coming. Share your comments and suggestions. The show is never the same way twice. And I hope to reach everybody in some way, shape, or form that way. So hopefully I can't find the stand for my microphone. So hopefully you guys are hearing me clearly. Today's show is actually on a topic that is, well, quite frankly, it's a regular battle for me. It's definitely a challenge. And I'm glad I'm not, I don't want to say I'm glad I'm not the only one that suffers, but the truth is, a lot of us suffer from this, and I have found some very useful and effective strategies for coping. So let's get started with the questions. I'm just going to upload that now. Okay. And we will get started. This is the questions and answers. Get ready to battle boldly. The topic today are these questions. Does the weather affect fibromyalgia symptoms? Yes. And I'll get into the details. The second question that I pulled from, the group of them was, I am ridiculously cold or hot sometimes when it doesn't make sense. And I hurt all the time when temperatures change. Is this normal? We're going to be talking about it today. Number 3, is it true that cannabis, THC specifically, can cause hypothermia? Is that why I get the chills sometimes? Or maybe that's why they call it chilling, right? I don't know. We'll talk about it though today, because I am going to talk a little bit about the endocannabinoid system today and how the different receptors receive the cannabinoids from the plant. In addition to that, the last question is, I seriously can't stand weather fluctuations. I hear you. They hurt. I know they do. What can I do to make myself more tolerant? Okay, so these are some really good, relatable questions. They all relate to temperature and weather conditions. And what can we do about that? Because quite frankly, fibromyalgia pain and symptoms really do interplay with weather changes. If you're one of those people who can probably predict more accurately weather patterns than, I know, your local meteorologist, I know I can. Maybe it's head pressure you get, or neck pain. You might have pain or pressure behind the eyes. And I mean, I don't even know where to begin with the whole fatigue thing. Let's face it, it's a very different type of fatigue. And brain fog. Brain fog is something that I am currently dealing with, because we've had these really hot, humid days, several days in a row. And even going in from out of doors and into indoors, into air conditioned environment, that's a very shocking thing to my system. And I have since learned that it's a very shocking thing to many fibromyalgia fighters. And so we're looking for tools and techniques and strategies that will actually help us to help ourselves. As human beings, okay, so first, let me make something very clear here. It's really important to point out, and the reason I share my experiences, because recently, in particular, I have seen several articles written by MDs that claim weather patterns have nothing to do with, and they don't affect fibromyalgia symptoms. Well, I mean, if you're anything like me, then you already know differently. Right? Okay. And we're going to talk about some strategies that we can get to today that you can start implementing right away to help you. As human beings, we talk about the weather a lot. For many people, we might talk in terms of disruption to, activities that we were going to do, or it could just be for, I don't know, small talk. However, for those of us that have fibromyalgia, the weather changes really can cause many symptoms to increase and really seriously affect our overall well-being. There's actually a phenomenon that we experience during weather changes, and it creates a feeling of, I don't know, simultaneous fatigue, not your average fatigue, not your typical fatigue, but it's a combination of fatigue and an overactive nervous system, which is really kind of crazy. It's kind of like trying to go 60 miles per hour with no gas in your tank. Like you don't work, you don't function, Again, one of the more common symptoms in fibromyalgia and changing weather is pain or pressure around the head and the eyes. If you already have light sensitivity, and many of us do have sensitivities or hypersensitivities to different lighting systems, you might notice, like perhaps on a cloudy day, it might be worse than on a bright sunny day. The point is, you may have trouble driving, or you might have difficulty at work. Prepare your environment for the potential of the light sensitivity and a weather that's going to trigger a flare up. Okay, so that's the only advice I can seriously give there. You might also feel like you're exhausted, that you can't function when temperatures drop in the wintertime. That's not uncommon. It happens to me all the time. So what actually happens when the weather moves through a high atmospheric pressure is that you will notice your pain is going to fluctuate along with the temperature outdoors, and you're definitely going to experience the connection between pain and weather. You'll often hear me talk about things like spring allergies and how these might increase flares. definitely something to look into. And taking a local honey in your tea will definitely help, along with a bunch of other things, which I really strongly recommend you check out Elemental Growth, because she's got a really good dietary proposal there that just basically crowds out the crappy food and introduces good quality food, right? With respect to weather, pain, fatigue, the headaches, the flares, all of that can be helpful in knowing that we're not just being lazy. It's not just a lack of motivation that's got us down. It literally is something neurological. But that also means that, yes, there are some things that you can do that will mitigate the effects that weather has on you. So there was a study that was done by Dr. Ingrid Strasberg in Australia. He was the fibromyalgia weather connection, and he studied it through a bunch of different questionnaires. The end result was that those with fibromyalgia were more likely to experience pain when the weather was cold and when the humidity or the atmospheric pressure went high. So even though a lot of medical professionals dismiss the idea that pain can spike when temperatures drop, many people suffering from chronic pain or illnesses experience the phenomenon on a routine basis. You are not of a small percentage if you are one of those persons. I know for myself and many people that I've worked with over the years, the weather really does have an awful lot to do. It can definitely exacerbate the symptoms in fibromyalgia and its primary co-conditions, right? So, and most of us don't really need a study to verify that. So something that you can do, if you feel more symptoms in your head, including like things like swollen glands, migraines, sinus pains, that sort of thing, radiates around the face. If you have any sort of form of arthritis, like many of us already do, you might notice more joint pain and stiffness. We have, as fibromyalgia fighters, we have temperature dysregulation. So that little switch that's supposed to click in our brain in certain ways, and we're going to get to that, doesn't necessarily work correctly. We can retrain the brain though, and that's good news. But right now we find it a little bit more challenging to acclimate to the different seasonal changes, that sort of thing. Talking about brain fog, one area of the body that's really vulnerable to changing weather patterns is the brain. And even though we can retrain it, again, just recently I'm going through, we've had all of this humidity, we've had a lot of sunshine, excessive heat, and I've been experiencing a lot of brain fog and see, and memory issues, and I have difficulty with certain words. The best you can do, I mean, to some degree, retraining your brain, writing things down. I love my whiteboards, my dry erase boards during this time period, because they really, really do help. I don't need to make lists all the time, but when I'm experiencing a brain fog time, especially something that's out of my control, as in weather. I mean, I can't control the weather, right? Maybe somebody can, but I can't. So yeah, I just like arthritis factors are going to be influenced by the barometric pressure. Fibromyalgia is definitely going to affect the brain as well. And other things that we like to hate, it does. It has an effect on our confidence. I know, I get it, but take a couple of deep breaths, do that reinforcement, that positive ego strengthening reinforcement, and say, you know what, I got this. This is just one day. And so far, my victory success rate is 100% because I have survived every single battle to date, right? Okay, so when the inclement weather comes around or stays around for a couple of days, it's even more important that you write things down. Definitely do that. Now, on the other side of the coin is, what about positive weather symptoms, right? Have you ever experienced the calm before the storm, felt a sense of euphoria or lightness in your body, perhaps a little bit of tingling as the barometric changes? They're not always negative, right? Sometimes just before a rain, you might feel lighter, and other times you might feel pain and heaviness. It's really, truly difficult to know exactly what you're going to experience, but if you track your own patterns, and you can do that through a journal. I'm going to share journals with you. I'm sorry, I've gotten carried away with talking. So yeah, when you've got the right combination of guidance, therapeutics, products, lifestyle modifications, you really can lower the impact. So some of those things, knowing ahead of time that there's going to be, watch the radar systems. Yes, you get, so just to chime in from one of our listeners right now, she gets migraines and they're not nice at all with aura, and seasons really mess with it. Absolutely, I understand. Many of us experience that, and I'm going to share with you some really cool tips and techniques and that sort of thing today. So definitely weather and altitude has serious effect on fibromyalgia symptoms. They can bring on much of the same symptoms in the head, it can cause some radiating pain, definitely the migraine headaches and pressure, all of that combined in its insidious cyclic dis-ease that it is, can really be debilitating. Have faith, you will get through it. You've gotten through everyone before. So one of the things that somebody asked is, is there a place that I could actually live where the temperatures are more seasonal? And you're very welcome, Monica. You're very welcome. Yeah, you know what? If you live in the north, chances are you're going to have to define and practice some battle strategies for coping with quickly changing weather conditions. I know here in Ontario, we often say, we can experience 3 seasons between morning and evening, and it's very true, especially in the spring and the fall. Hello, Marianne. Thank you for tuning in, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Very much appreciated. So, if moving to a drier, warmer, more consistent temperature state or location, if you think that'll help you and you have the means to do it, you know what? I'd love to hear your experience and results. Please do keep a journal. Keeping a journal will really help everybody. For understanding and recognizing more patterns. It also helps your caregivers, and it helps your healthcare team. It helps your family and your friends, because you can actually reflect upon certain days and go, no, you know what? I was feeling like crap that day. I remember. Yeah. Even if you don't remember, you have it in writing. So you do know that it happened. Okay. So moving on. Fighting the fatigue, the fogginess, the forgetfulness, the farts. I call them brain farts because, so you moved to Northern Ontario, which helped. Isn't that interesting? See, I would find, mind you, Northern Ontario has a much drier cold temperature. It's not a humid cold. It's not a wet cold. So yeah, I could see how that may be helpful and beneficial for sure. And if it's helped, definitely you've done well for yourself. And that's part of taking care of ourselves, right? Being responsible for our own health and wellness. First line of defense. Okay. Moving on, the fatigue, the fogginess, the forgetfulness, and the farts. I call them brain farts. And if you ever hear me go, oh, something shiny, I just had a brain fart. It's literally a blip in the brain where for a 1/1,000,000th of a second, there's nothingness. It's just, and then I'm back. But that moment is lost forever, and it's definitely a blip. And I call these brain farts. And the more you practice and the more meditation you do, I do find that meditation has really helped strengthen my brain capacity, in my ability to maintain control and to regulate when things start to go wrong. I have a very developed skill of regulating my own state of homeostasis, if you will. And the more you meditate, the more you practice, the better you become. The better you become, the more control you have. The more control you have, the more you'll practice. And the more you practice, the better you'll become. So where we have an insidious cycle of pain and fatigue and sleep issues, which increase the pain, and then you don't want to exercise, and then you lost your appetite and your bowels aren't moving. And this is an insidious cycle, just as we have one of those horrible insidious cycles on one side of the coin. On the other side of the coin, we have a wonderful meditation. We have wonderful tools and techniques, all of which that are pharmaceutically free, that I preach about. So yes, pharmaceuticals do help here and there, and they all have their place, I suppose. And that's me trying to not have a skewed perspective. But if it comes to pills or pot, you know, a drug, this is not, and I'm sticking with the pot. That being said, the key to finding the perfect strain for your symptoms really genuinely is to experiment. There are hundreds of strains that offer relief in different ways, and because the cannabis is as unique to its profile as us humans are to our profile, our central nervous system, it depends on how the two are going to work. Now, that being said, I have had and worked with people in the past whose partner were at the end of life and under palliative care. Oh, see, there's one of those brain farts. So yes, so they wanted to find the strain right away, and they didn't have the time for it'll come back, and they didn't have the time for the experimentation, you know, logging their journal, logging their experience, the cannabinoid profile, the effects of it, and doing that for 21 days will really help you find the profile, that sweet spot for you. So it doesn't matter what the strain name is after that, as long as it's within that profile, that will be a strain that will help you with whatever challenge or it is that you are struggling with. So if you were, you know, for this particular person at the end of life, there is a I can't think of the name, but it's something labs. It'll come to me. And what they do is they do a blood analysis. Pardon me, a blood analysis to see and put that up against their scale of results and experiences and say, you know, this profile is most likely to be the best. Covo Labs. I knew it would come back to me. Covo or Cova, but it's I'll put it on the website later. You'll find it at www.greenirene.ca a little bit later. Yeah, so they will test your blood type and give you a pretty good idea. So if you've only got, you know, or like in this case, that person only had a couple of months, we wanted to find the right strain for them based on their blood type without having to do the experimentation. So for the rest of us, experimenting can be kind of fun and exciting, and you know, you're doing it for your health and wellness. So hey, giver. Talking a little bit about the different strains though. So yes, fatigue, fogginess, forgetfulness, farts. You're gonna find different things will work for you in these places. There is no be all to end all except for strengthening your resolve, your brain control power. You can do that through hypnosis, NLP, and cannabis therapies. You can reduce the pain, you can reduce the uncomfortableness, you can reduce a lot of the symptoms or the effects that the symptoms have on you. That being said, one of the ways, I'm going to talk a little bit more about cannabis in a moment, but the primary way in which NLP and cannabis and or hypnosis help you is really quite simple, to be honest. Cannabis helps to reduce inflammation. It's an analgesic, so it helps to alleviate the pain that way. The CBDs, we're going to talk more in depth about that right after our commercial break. I'm going to go right into depth actually about cannabis. But let's move on to a little bit about neurolinguistic programming. That is all about training your brain. That is reprogramming the way you do things. So, and even by making one minute change in your 7 steps to whatever it is that you do, or, for a trigger to become a full flare, whatever those steps are, even making one minor change is enough to throw that flare off course. Now, that's not to say you won't experience a flare. You still may. It just may not be as extreme or as intense. You may have better control and be able to get it mitigated much quicker, simply by using your own words, how you say things to yourself. So let me give you an example off topic so that you can create your own example to tell yourself. I had a friend come to me one time and she said, Irene, I just don't know what's wrong. All he does is work, 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 work. And he's killing himself. And I mean, I just love him to death. But there's the key words. So her words are saying, I love you to death. I want you to die with my love. So he's working, 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 working. This is the subconscious playing out. I mean, nobody in their right state of mind, in their critical faculty, would say, oh, she loves me to death. That means I have to work to death. No, it doesn't. But your subconscious mind has no rationale. It is emotionally based. It is triggered by instinct. And we all have a little voice back there that I like to call my inner advisor. And if you'd like to meet your inner advisor, definitely tune in to Cannabis and Creative Visualizations on Wednesdays at noon here on the Pace Radio. Here you will find a couple episodes ago, we met our inner advisor. I believe it was episode 1, actually. So you'll hear your own voice. And once you start, instead of hearing the message of the words coming at you, start listening to the actual words. The word try implies failure. Try means I'll probably fail, but I'll try and do it anyway. No, you know what? I'm going to do this. I don't know how many efforts I'm going to have to make at it, but I will do this. It may only take me 1 time. It may take me 100. The point is, you have to change how you speak to yourself and be very conscientious of the words that you use. Neurolinguistic programming practitioners such as myself is skilled, trained, and practiced in using the right, correct words, which is why some of my meditations often sound very much like hypnosuggestions. It's just natural, innate. It's part of, which is why I called it creative visualizations, a type of guided meditation. Again, tune in Wednesdays at noon for that. First 15 minutes of the show is all about cannabis and how cannabis relates to a meditation. And then the last 15 minutes is actually the meditation. All right, moving on. Hypnosis. How does hypnosis work? Oh, hypnosis is amazing. It is the best tool for learning anything you want to learn. And there's a whole bunch of stuff on neuroplasticity that I could share with you about how the brain rewires and reworks and rebuilds cells and does all this funky, fun stuff and could just do amazing things for us, for our health and wellness, as soon as we figure out how to use this program. It's like having, I don't know, it's like having Excel spreadsheets. Yes, I realize I'm a little bit old school here, but it's like having Excel spreadsheets and only using it to make labels. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So that's what we've been doing with our brain. We're making labels. We're labeling it. That's myoencephalitis. That is chronic fatigue syndrome. That is irritable bowel. That is fibro. That is Barrett's. That is this, and this is that, and this is that. And we're labeling everything. And all we're doing with Excel spreadsheet is throwing labels in. Well, big flipping deal. The only reason a label is of any use to me is so that I have a place to begin my research to develop a strategy. So using things like hypnosis helps us to learn very quickly. We put suggestions in there that say things like, I am getting better and better every day in every way. And that's a quote by Emily Coué, who was researcher, philosopher, psychologist, philosopher, just, yeah, I don't remember his entire autobiography. So anyway, the point, or his entire biography. Anyway, Emile Coué said, every day in every way, I get better and better. I get better and better every day in every way. And it's interesting how even if you're kind of feeling like crap, you start to say that, your brain, your primal brain, the one that has no critical faculties, will actually search for a day that might have been worse. And you can say, yeah, today is a better day. So how cool is that? If we can do that with our brain, imagine the healing we can do once we learn how to program it using neuro-linguistic programming. We can go into a state of hypnosis, and the deeper we are in trance, the easier the learning is. I mean, you can learn new languages while in a deep trance of hypnosis, a whole new language. So that being said, we add our own language there, telling our brain what we want it to do, start programming it, and then practice it day after day after day after day. So self-hypnosis, deep meditation, 15 minutes of meditation every day is not a whole lot. But if you can't do that, if you can't find a way to bring yourself to 15 minutes in one day, you know what? Take 3 minutes. Do a 3-minute meditation in the morning, midday, and after evening, whenever it is convenient for you. But make sure you take that time out to do that deep breathing. Remember, emotion follows motion. So when we will to do thy will, when we will to do the will of the universe, we can accomplish great things. And our brain is one of the most amazing computer systems ever known to mankind. So start using those Excel spreadsheets for all that they're worth in your brain. They're a lot more useful than just holding labels. Pardon me. When we return from the break, we're going to cut to break now. When we return, we're going to talk a little bit about temperature sensitivity. We're going to talk an awful lot about how cannabis can help you to help you. And if there's any time left, I will do my best to answer a couple of excess questions that are sitting here in front of me. So that being said, during the break, if you want, submit your questions to info@greenirene.ca. You don't have to do that on the break. You can do that at any time. And when they get to me, I just categorize them and I pull them as we get to those topics. You can be sure to find updated information on a regular basis through the blog at greenirene.ca. Be sure to bookmark it. Subscribe at fightfibro.ca. Stay up to date with all of the activities and events that I'm doing. And at any point in time, if you would like to learn how I can help you, or just even give you some advice to help get you started to help you, schedule a free discovery call with me. You can do that through the website at www.greenirene.ca. And on that note, we're going to cut over to our sponsors, and we will be back in 3
You're
minutes.
listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
Growing your own cannabis is easier than you think. Whether you're growing for recreational or medical purposes, BMA Hydroponics has everything you need to succeed. From the standard 4-plant recreational systems to the latest cutting-edge hydroponic equipment, BMA can customize your package and do it at discount prices. Visit BMA Hydroponics at 404 Maitland Drive in Belleville and ask us for a free estimate. Or call 613-967-9888 and we will give you an estimate over the phone.
The only way to go.
In February of 2022, the Victoria Cannabis Buyers Club and Ted Smith were fined $6.5 million. This for helping 8,500 patients with access to medical cannabis. In our interview with Ted, he spoke to us about how people can donate to help in an upcoming court challenge. And here is part of that interview. From what I've seen lately, I believe that you've got something that you're trying to do as far as fundraising to deal with this next court challenge.
For now, people can write checks directly to Jack Lloyd Law Corporation or send e-transfers to save the VCBC at gmail.com. I guess those are the two easiest ways for people to help right now.
What do you find at paceradio.net. People advocating cannabis education.
A doctor's job is to relieve your pains. And when it comes to growing cannabis, the biggest pain is trimming. Let Dr. Buck Cannabis Trimming Solutions take the pain away. Whether you're a home grower or a commercial operation, we have the cure. From 4 plants to 400 plants, garden size doesn't matter. Dr. Buck Cannabis Trimming Solutions comes to you with years of experience and professional discreet service. It's simple. We trim your weed and we do a damn good job. Visit drbuckcts.com to book your trimming.
Did you know that the Pace Radio Network isn't just a radio network? That's right, because most, but not all of our programming is now done via video and is then podcasted at paceradio.net. So if you want to watch our programming, you'll find us on the Pace Radio Network's Facebook page, plus the show's own page, and you'll find us live on the network's YouTube channel. And don't forget, you can find it all, video and audio, at paceradio.net.
At Legacy 420, we believe in being different.
Experience the difference of quality control.
Our labs provide tested formulations for all of our products.
Experience the difference in trust.
Our customers can trust that we are following up-to-date COVID precautions for their safety.
Experience the difference in accessibility.
We're open 7 days a week. Please visit our website, legacy420.com, or contact us for curbside pickup as well as nationwide mail order shipping.
Legacy 420 values overall wellness.
Come and experience the difference of Legacy 420.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
Hi there, and welcome back. And thank you to our sponsors. So we're going to move on. And I said before the break that we would be talking a little bit about heat temperature sensitivities in fibromyalgia. And I got all different forms of this question. This was the one that really, it just rang true with me. And that is, help, I'm ridiculously cold or hot sometimes when it doesn't even make sense. I hurt all the time when temperatures change. Is this normal? No. No. Yes. It depends what your version of normal is. So just before we move on a little bit, I want to make something very clear. There are some medications that will interfere with the regulation of body temperatures. You need to speak to your pharmacist if you are on any pharmacological treatment plans. Find out if any of them are influencing the temperature intolerance that you have. Okay. Also note, and I'll talk a bit more about this, but it is nothing to worry about. Cannabis can lower the body temperature, maybe even make you a little chill. I've been dying to say that all morning. Okay. You know, temperature sensitivity really does affect many women with fibromyalgia, myself included. You can be cold all the time or hot all the time, or honestly, you can alternate between the two. You can be hot, you can be cold, you can be hot, cold. It's like going up and down like a yo-yo. There is a lot of research about this phenomena, and it shows that people with the bottom line is it shows that people who have fibromyalgia simply have an inability to adapt to changes in temperature. And because quite frankly, we have lower pain threshold to the hot and cold stimuli. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with it. If you're not, get familiar with it. There is a story called My Spoons, and it was written by a woman named Julie, Counting My Spoons. It's a really good explanation, and it really helps to define to new friends and or coworkers exactly what it is that we're dealing with. So she actually wrote a study that examined the temperature thresholds for heat and cold in women with fibromyalgia versus healthy women. That study is also on that website, and it's very, very, very interesting. So definitely check it out. So, okay, now what causes it? All right. Is it normal? Well, like I said, it depends on what you mean by normal. Is it normal for fibromyalgia patients? Yep, it's very common. I don't know if it's normal, but it's very common. Is it normal in general? No. No. Body temperature is regulated by the hypothalamus, and the hypothalamus section in the brain that's is responsible for hormone production. It's considered the link between the nervous system and the endocrine system. I kind of hope you get where this is going. The hypothalamus not only controls our body temperature, but it also controls our energy levels. It controls our sleep cycles and hygiene. It controls our muscular function. It controls our circulation. It controls the gut and defense against infection. The hypothalamus has a lot of work to do. Now, interestingly enough, most fibro symptoms seem to be a direct result of an imbalance in the hypothalamus pituitary adrenal axis. So the HPA axis, adrenal, sorry, not adrenal, adrenal. So that's the hypothalamus pituitary adrenal axis. Those three glands, they work together to control hormones. If there is a disruption in the HPA axis, and chances are you got fibromyalgia. I mean, the disruptions in the HPA axis really seem to be at the core, at the foundation of fibromyalgia. There's thyroid hormones. They also play a role in regulating body temperature. An overactive thyroid, known as hyperthyroidism, can cause a person to feel way too hot. And an underactive one, hypothyroidism, can cause a person to feel cold. And then some of us just go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. The thyroid gland is under the control of the pituitary gland. The pituitary gland itself is regulated by the hypothalamus. And so anything that disrupts that HPA axis also suppresses the thyroid function. So it messes with our hormones, it screws up our thyroid function. Again, there are some medications that screw with the regulation of body temperature. So be aware of that. I mean, there's obvious things to do to avoid getting heated. One of the things I like to do, especially in the hotter parts of summer, and because we have a lot of fibro fighters have a lot of issues with our neck region, is I will take and my stepkids taught me this when I was bedridden, but we will take a terry cloth towel or large face cloth, body hand towel, that sort of thing. Soak it, wring it out really, really well, shape it around my neck, and then use that shape, put it in the freezer in that shape, so that when I take it out, it fits nice and comfortably on my neck. There's no rubbing in odd spots, but it's frozen and it cools down everything between the body and the brain. And keeping things cool is absolutely essential, right? On the other side of the coin, there are people who are super sensitive to being chilled right to the bone. I'm one of them, and we have a really hard time warming up. It can be all over. It can be just in your hands or just in your feet. It can be just in your nose. I mean, I've had it in just my face, where my nose, my lips, and my eyeballs were freezing, and I couldn't, the rest of my body was fine. But anyway, again, keep your environment warm. There's all the obvious things. Take warm bath or shower to heat up that core inside of you so that you get your warmth back. This is something to keep an eye on. If this is happening all the time, or you're getting skin rashes with that sort of thing, check with your family physician, because there is a condition called Raynaud's syndrome, which it probably, but your doctor should be aware of those other symptoms or signs that you're experiencing. The bottom line is temperature sensitivity is common fibromyalgia symptom. Most women with fibro report being extremely sensitive to cold or heat, and essentially temperature sensitivity may be due to a hormonal imbalance in the hypothalamus pituitary adrenal axis. Hey, I said it right. Medications can also interfere with the regulation of temperature. The bottom line is You can go up, you can go down. There's some things you can do. I'm going to talk in a minute a little bit about cannabis and the role that cannabis plays in relation to helping with temperature regulation. Okay. Notably, I really would like to hear from you. If you have fibromyalgia, you're sensitive to heat or to cold or both. If so, what are your tips? What do you do to help you? Please leave a comment and or send me an email. I love the interaction, and I love the conversation that feeds back and forth. Okay, so let's let me talk a little bit about cannabis and how it regulates the body temperature. You can chill with cannabis. Sometimes we get goosebumps that run through our arms, and you may feel like this slight little chill. It's part of the physical side effects common for THC. Other people, you might experience dry mouth or red eyes. You might have an increased heart rate. But whatever. The question was, does cannabis lower your body temperature? Actually, the question was something about hypothermia. But here's the bottom line. Simple answer to the question, yeah, cannabis really, really does lower your body temperature. It's called THC-induced hypothermia. Tetrahydrocannabinol, that's the THC, the main psychoactive cannabinoid that's in the plant. Yeah, don't worry. Honest to God, there's nothing to worry about. In humans, this hypothermia is not near as scary as the term hypothermia sounds. At the very worst, smoking cannabis might maybe give you a slight chill, and it might be a little bit lingering. It might hang around for a bit. But hypothermia, notably, can also be induced by other things, like mustard, for example. Believe it or not, cannabis has an effect that's very similar to mustard as far as regulating or lowering your body temperature. Hot peppers are the same when it comes to temperature. And it's all because as soon as your tongue, or well, basically any part of your skin for that matter, detects the heat, it sets off this whole cascade of chemical reactions that tells the body to cool down. Hence, everything gets triggered to chill up, chill out, literally chill out. So when you consume something spicy or hot, the receiver is activated and it causes a cooling and pain fighting reaction. That's what the brain does. That's the brain's response to it. So cannabis is most commonly consumed in vapor or smoke, right? And the compounds trigger a receiver known as the TRPA-1. And I'm pretty sure I got that right. TRPA-1. It's a receiver that gets triggered by the compounds that are found in cannabis. Unfortunately, most of the research on the subject's really been conducted on rodents to this date. There was some hypothermic notes in some scientific research that dates back, somewhere around the 70s or 80s. There was a couple of studies done on rodents that found a connection between cannabis and decreased body temperatures. But so all of that being said, that gives you a little bit of background. Researchers currently believe that the TRPA1 receptor is at play, and some additional research is suggesting that cannabis can affect the body temperature in a more complicated way as well. Okay, so the TRPA1 is not the only type of cell receptor that's affected by cannabis. THC and other compounds in the herb as well work their magic in the human body, and they connect all the cells called cannabinoid receptors. So again, and I can't stress this enough, whole plant Just like we want whole food, we want whole plant. We don't want isolated cannabinoids or isolated terpenes, and we don't want to mix and match. We want the real thing in order to heal the real thing the real way, right? The way it was intended. Yeah, so research definitely showed that those cannabinoid receptors had powerful influence on the temperature regulation. And here's the bottom line. You want to avoid smoke, you want to avoid sweating? Just smoke a joint on a hot summer night. Consuming some cannabis might actually cool you off. I mean, I wouldn't count on it a whole lot, but it might cool you by a degree or two, and that might be all you need. And if not, you can take full advantage of the comforting properties. Chill, kick back, relax. Puff or two will always do. Oh, all right. So chronic pain is no joke. Dealing with temperature fluctuations and weather fluctuations and temperature sensitivities is no fun. There's no be-all to end-all cure, much like most of the fibromyalgia symptoms. They are multifaceted, and therefore the therapies also have to be multiple modalities. Strongly recommend using hypnosis, meditation, self-hypnosis. If you wanted to take some therapeutic hypnosis sessions where you're working with someone such as myself, who is a certified and trained hypnotherapist, neuro-linguistic programming practitioner, as well as a cannabis consultant, it's kind of a well-rounded, all-in-one basket. Let's put all the pieces together in one place. I'm your gal. Hypnosis, typically combined with the NLP, usually takes 2 to 3 sessions to help you get in control of regulating your body temperature. If you've ever had the opportunity to look him up, look up Wim Hof. He's known as the Iceman. And that'll teach you a lot about how much we can control the activity in our body through our brain and through brain training. Things like NLP will help you to retrain your brain and make natural, effective changes. Once you've done a couple of sessions of hypnosis and you've done some meditation, you can start to learn how to do self-hypnosis, which is, I mean, for myself, just amazingly effective. Hypnosis really puts you in control. NLP helps to create the lasting change that you're looking for. When it comes to using cannabis to deal with temperature sensitivities and weather fluctuations, diet and nutrition play a large role in preventing provocative triggers. Regular exercise and activity that we talk about all the time. I'm not talking about getting to the gym every day and doing a 30-minute cardio. I'm talking about regular daily stretching. Yoga is amazing. Deep breathing exercises really help facilitate healing hormones to get happy. It also improves the anandamide in our brain, which is our happy, joy, bliss chemical. Meditation and appropriate rest or relaxation is absolutely essential. If you're not doing it yet, please start. 3 minutes a day, 5 minutes a day, 15 minutes a day. You can download from Cannabis and Creative Visualizations the audio track for the meditation and use that each week. It will be a new one. And you're welcome to do that. They're there. And so, and lifestyle says you need that restorative sleep. And I realize that is very difficult. Sleep does not come easy necessarily for us fibro patients or fibro fighters. But those of us who have become skilled warriors and practice our art form every day with brain training and neurolinguistic, reprogramming and using cannabis therapeutically, not just recreationally, and adjusting our lifestyles will put us in complete and total control of our health and wellness. If you have any questions at all, please do not hesitate to contact me. I am available at greenirene.ca anytime. You can also send me an email to info@greenirene.ca. Please Remember to share this video, like and comment. All of your feedback is very valuable and matters to me. Don't hesitate to schedule a free discovery call with me, 15 to 30 minutes about talking about you and your symptoms and how I can help you. It's the way to go. Yeah. Okay. So that was our last questions. I seriously can't stand weather fluctuations. They hurt. What can I do to make myself more tolerant? Well, those are some of the things you can do. You have to adjust your diet and your nutrition. You have to find what works for you. The biggest thing here that I can say to anybody is keep a journal. Keep a journal. If you don't have one already going, you can download pre-made templated sheets and books. There's a 31-day. You can buy just 1 month, photocopy it if you want. I'm not really sure how much it is, but it's somewhere around $20, $30 off on the website, or at Green Irene's THC on the Facebook page, or on my website, greenirene.ca. You can get, just one book and photocopy it, or you can get you get bulk savings if you buy 3 of them at a time or something like that. So again, there are tools that are available to you. Learning self-hypnosis. Experiencing hypnosis first makes learning self-hypnosis that much easier, because you know what the feeling is that you are trying to achieve. Neuro-linguistic programming. So having a hypnotherapist skilled or practiced in neuro-linguistic programming really helps, because the learning becomes that much easier. There's no testing of the code. It's already your language, so the brain doesn't fight it. That being said, cannabis is, as always, that wonder weed, that herbal healing, amazing marvel. Love the cannabis. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in today. Remember to join me next week for more great fibro fighting tips, tools, techniques, and guidance. If you have any questions, comments, suggestions, or input, I'd love to hear it. You can send it to info@greenirene.ca. And if you'd like to try meditation and learn how the ancient art of combining cannabis with meditation works, tune in on Wednesdays at noon Eastern Time for an informative and rejuvenating midweek meditation show that combines these ancient practices, cannabis, and creative visualizations with guided meditation with Green Irene here on the Pace Radio Network. On that note, again, thank you very much for tuning in. I look forward to seeing you next week and hearing your comments, suggestions, and questions. Be happy, get healthy, and stay strong.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
Growing your own cannabis is easier than you think. Whether you're growing for recreational or medical purposes, BMA Hydroponics has everything you need to succeed. From the standard 4-plant recreational systems to the latest cutting-edge hydroponic equipment, BMA can customize your package and do it at discount prices. Visit BMA Hydroponics at 404 Maitland Drive in Belleville and ask us for a free estimate. Or call 613-967-9888 and we will give you an estimate over the phone. The only way to go.
In February of 2022, the Victoria Cannabis Buyers Club and Ted Smith were fined $6.5 million. This for helping 8,500 patients with access to medical cannabis. In our interview with Ted, he spoke to us about how people can donate to help in an upcoming court challenge. And here is part of that interview. From what I've seen lately, I believe that you've got something that you're trying to do as far as fundraising to deal with this next court challenge.
For now, people can write checks directly to Jack Lloyd Law Corporation or send e-transfers to save the VCBC at gmail.com. I guess those are the 2 easiest ways for people to help right now.
What do you find at paceradio.net? People advocating cannabis education.
A doctor's job is to relieve your pains. And when it comes to growing cannabis, the biggest pain is trimming. Let Dr. Buck Cannabis Trimming Solutions take the pain away. Whether you're a home grower or a commercial operation, we have the cure. From 4 plants to 400 plants, garden size doesn't matter. Dr. Buck Cannabis Trimming Solutions comes to you with years of experience and professional discreet service. It's simple. We trim your weed and we do a damn good job. Visit drbuckcts.com to book your trimming.